Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I am a pacifist. I am vehemently opposed to all war, and I'm even against all humanitarian intervention when it comes to war. So I have a statement as a pacifist about my opposal to all humanitarian intervention. I had to write it all down because I'm a dork. I'm really not that smart anyway, so okay, my statement as a pacifist. Human rights can never be fought for in inhumane ways. If building democracy means killing your enemy, then you've merely adopted the way of life of the enemy, their line of thinking. The means is the mirror to the end. Establishing democracy by arms means that war and violence are the breath of that democracy. Good intentions does not justify the motive. For example, bombing Syria could be effective to end the humanitarian crisis there. Not really, but so the argument goes. But the motive is still Syria as a valued geopolitical base. Also, a military intervention in Rwanda during the genocide there would have been wrong as well. Not only for its motive to control mining operations and the extraction of coltan there. Military interventions for humanitarian purposes merely postpones the violence, whereas non-violent, peaceful interventions are the non-futile seeds to sustainable peace in that country, even if they're brutally stamped out and seen as giving the upper hand to violent measures at the time being. Creating a strict dualism between intention and motive is based on the Western legacy of original sin, which is ingrained in Western economic and foreign policies. Women should understand that men seek to nurture a girl using sexual energies. Intent is interdependent with motive. But motive destroys the intent when it is pursued consciously. Talking about human sexuality there as an example, but with humanitarian intervention in global conflicts, the heart of the intention is based on the kind of tools used to advance it. Using bombs and tanks with humanitarian intervention means the intent is to kill the same civilians you said you were protecting and to empower the companies that made those bombs and tanks. Only the tools of providing education and social services, only those empower the civilians at risk. Obviously, humanitarian intervention provides a facade of democracy void of spirit. Freedoms of speech and religion are fundamentally spiritual in nature, which is why toppling dictators through war, all they can do is provide the empty shell of a democratic electoral system. All you get is a ballot box with toppling dictators through war, through humanitarian intervention. To better explain how useless humanitarian intervention is in its goals, I'll quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his Beyond Vietnam Riverside Church speech. Just read the amendment in its entirety. I love Dr. King. Dr. King, okay. This business of burning human beings with napalm, of filling our nation's homes with orphans and widows, of injecting poisonous drugs of hate into the veins of people normally humane. In that context, today is the war on terror. Like, normally Americans would not hate Muslims. Normally Americans would think Muslims are just weird people. But through manufacturing consent and through the propaganda machine of the U.S. media, Americans are trained to hate Muslims. Paraphrasing Dr. King. If Dr. King were here today, he would say that. Continuing the Beyond Vietnam speech. Of sending men home from dark and bloody battlefields, physically handicapped and psychologically deranged, even if it's for democracy, even if our U.S. troops are fighting for democracy, It's wrong to do that because we're killing our men. The U.S. is killing our men and just basically torturing their minds by sending them to war. Cannot be reconciled with wisdom, justice, and love. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. America, the richest, most powerful nation in the world, can well lead the way in this revolution of values. There is nothing wrong except a tragic death wish to prevent us from reordering our priorities so that the pursuit of peace will take precedence over the pursuit of war. There is nothing to keep us from molding a recalcitrant status quo until we have fashioned it into a brotherhood. This kind of positive revolution of values is our best defense against communism, as Dr. King said. But I would say that it's our best defense against terrorism today. War is not the answer. And that's all I wanted to say, and you're so awesome, I love you.